The office smells faintly of coffee and polished wood, layered with the faint tang of printer ink and a hint of sanitizer. Fluorescent lights hum above, their steady buzz blending with the soft rhythm of the ventilation system. Each desk is a small, curated universe. Framed photos, mismatched mugs, tiny succulent plants leaning toward the light. I walk past my colleagues slowly, heels clicking lightly on the tile, the sound deliberate and measured. Some glance at me as I pass. There's a hesitation in their eyes, an unreadable pause that speaks volumes, a mixture of curiosity, doubt, subtle bias. I keep my gaze forward, shoulders squared, spine straight. My presence is quiet but deliberate, and I let it speak for me. Microgestures anchor my authority, a hand smoothing the edge of my notebook, fingertips brushing lightly over the corner of a report, a slow inhale through my nose as I settle into my chair. These are the small, almost imperceptible claims I make in a space that often underestimates me. Around me, soft keyboard clicks, low conversations, and the occasional ring of a phone layer into the office's subdued symphony. It is a rhythm I know intimately, a rhythm that has shaped my patience and resilience. Small comments hover in the air, barely audible yet sharp. She's too ambitious for her role. Or, that tone. She's pushy. I do not respond. I do not flinch. I simply breathe, observe, exist fully in the space I've carved for myself. My calm is intentional. It is power refined into a silent, unassailable form. The tension under the calm is tangible. I feel it in the slight tightening of my jaw, the subtle pressure in my chest, the quiet alertness in my fingertips as they hover over the keyboard. I glance at my laptop, its screen glowing soft blue in the dim corner of the office. The light highlights the contours of my face, cheekbones, the line of my jaw, the quiet determination in my eyes. I adjust the monitor slightly, lean back, and fold my hands over my lap. The hum of the office continues around me. Printers clicking, phones vibrating gently, muted laughter from a neighboring team. Each sound punctuates the undercurrent of microaggressions that thread through the space. They are almost imperceptible. A glance too long, a sigh too loud, a compliment tinged with doubt. I recall yesterday's meeting, where my ideas were subtly dismissed. I remember the sideways glance, the whispered, "Maybe we should wait for someone more experienced," the roll of eyes when I asked a clarifying question. The sting of being undervalued doesn't erupt in anger, it settles, heavy and constant, like gravity pressing against the chest. And yet, I am not shaken. I am aware, deliberate, grounded. Quiet power is not loud. It is not visible to everyone. It is a force that does not demand attention but commands respect. I organize my desk with care, pens aligned, notebook corners squared, sticky notes arranged in neat clusters. Each motion deliberate. My hands move slowly, almost ceremoniously, tracing the edge of a report, brushing crumbs from the keyboard, adjusting the chair so it sits just right. The small things matter, they are the evidence of my discipline, the subtle claims I stake in a space that too often erases women like me. My colleagues glance over occasionally, some noticing, some not. My calm presence is my assertion, a quiet reminder that I belong here, fully, unapologetically. The morning light begins to shift, slanting through the blinds and slicing across the carpet in sharp, linear beams. Dust motes float lazily in the streaks, catching the light like tiny sparks. I watch them, for a moment. A grounding ritual, a reminder to breathe, to observe, to stay present. Each beam illuminates the minutiae of the office, the scuff on the tile near the copier, the faint smudge on a coworker's desk, the curve of a chair leg. Details matter. Awareness matters. They are my armor. I sip my coffee slowly, the heat seeping into my palms, the aroma grounding me further. I listen to the office hum, the rhythm of 1,000 small interactions unfolding without notice. And I think about the patterns, the small, almost invisible ways bias appears. They are subtle but consistent, weaving a tapestry of doubt, of underestimation. But I am not here to fight them openly, not yet. I am here to observe, to document, to prepare. Every look, every word, every gesture is data, and I am collecting it quietly, deliberately. I check my calendar. Meetings stacked, deadlines approaching. The day ahead will be long, demanding, exacting. But I am ready. My mind is alert, my hands steady, my posture poised. I feel the hum of quiet anticipation in my chest, a sense that something beneath the surface is waiting to shift. I allow myself a small, almost imperceptible smile. Today, I remind myself, I exist fully in my space. Today, I carry the quiet power of someone who knows her worth, and I will wait for the right moment, the right evidence, the right act. The office is alive, but I move through it with deliberate calm. I hear a colleague laugh, a printer whir, a phone ring. Each sound punctuates the stillness I carry, the contrast between the world around me and the resolve inside me. I sit back in my chair, fingers lightly touching the keyboard, eyes tracing the outlines of the office, of the people, of the unspoken hierarchies. I am grounded. I am patient. I am ready. Quiet power is not visible, yet it is a slow burn, an undercurrent. But by the end of this day, I know it will surface. And when it does, it will be undeniable. Would you walk away or fight back? Tell me in the comments. The hum of the office continues around me, steady, unchanging. I lean back slightly in my chair, letting my fingers hover over the keyboard, absorbing the rhythm of muted conversations and soft clicks. Then a ping, a subtle, almost innocent sound, yet it cuts through the background like a single sharp note in a quiet room. I glance at the corner of my screen. The subject line flashes. An unfamiliar sender. A timestamp from last night. My stomach tightens just enough to make me aware of its presence. A quiet warning. I hover over the message. The glow of the laptop casts soft light across my face, highlighting the tension in my jaw, the faint crease of concentration between my brows. My breath slows, deliberate, as if holding it might pause the moment, freeze it, keep it from unraveling too quickly. I click. The email opens. The words hit like a subtle sting, then a sharper burn, each line a deliberate dismissal of my competence. The bias is unmistakable, thinly veiled, yet undeniable. My eyes trace the lines again, slower this time, absorbing every nuance, every insult tucked into polite phrasing. The hum of the office fades. It's still there, but I am in a bubble, separated by the glow of the screen and the rising heat in my chest. My hands rest lightly on the keyboard, reluctant to move, to react, to make a sound. A colleague laughs in the distance, the noise distant, hollow, almost intrusive. The office air feels heavier now, denser, pressing against my skin. I shift slightly, crossing one leg over the other, gripping the edge of my desk lightly. Every fiber of my body is alert, yet calm. Quiet power, I remind myself, is patience, observation, restraint. The timestamp catches my eye again. Last night, this email was sent, presumably unseen by anyone else. The thought presses against me. How many others have been quietly undermined this way? How long has this pattern persisted? I feel the weight of that knowledge, the silent record of prejudice stacked against me. But I do not react in anger. Not yet. I let the emotions rise, unspoken, simmering under the surface. My pulse is steady, deliberate, echoing the slow clicks of the office clock on the wall. I read the lines again. The phrasing, the tone, the calculated microaggressions, it's all there, black on white. There is disdain, subtle yet deliberate, woven into every sentence. The writer assumes I am unaware, underestimates my perception, underestimates my patience. My lips press together lightly. I do not reply. I do not forward. I do not confront. I simply breathe, absorbing, letting the knowledge settle in my chest like a stone, heavy but necessary. My eyes drift to the office around me. A coworker shuffles papers, another types rapidly, the soft rhythm almost comforting. I imagine their reactions. If they could see what I see now, the microaggressions made explicit, the quiet dismissal finally revealed. A chill runs through me, not from fear, but from the sharp edge of clarity. This is the moment the illusion cracks, the moment where hidden truths exist, waiting for the right witness. I adjust my chair, hands brushing the smooth surface of my desk. Fingers tap lightly, almost imperceptibly, a subconscious rehearsal of what is to come. I feel a surge of strategy forming in my mind. Careful, deliberate, precise. Not confrontation, not spectacle. Timing. The truth will reveal itself when the moment is right, and I will be ready. My eyes linger on the email once more, memorizing its details, the timestamp, the subject line, the carefully worded insults. Every piece of evidence is a tool, a quiet instrument of justice waiting to be used. I close my eyes briefly, inhaling slowly, letting the tension release just enough to maintain control. The office hum is no longer a distraction. It is a rhythm to match, a metronome to guide patience. I lean forward, fingertips resting lightly on the keyboard, the glow of the screen illuminating the careful calculation in my gaze. This moment is the first crack, the recognition that the quiet has been broken, that the pattern is now visible to me. And when the time comes, the crack will widen, and the truth will be undeniable. I exhale, a soft, steady release. My calm remains intact, deliberate, unshaken. Around me, the office continues its muted hum, unaware of the storm forming in a single inbox. I allow a small, almost imperceptible smile, a private acknowledgement of readiness, of patience, of quiet power. The first crack has appeared, subtle yet irreversible, and I will wait. Be honest, what would you do if it was you sitting in that room? Drop your thoughts below, I want to hear you. The office hum fades into the background as my attention narrows, laser-focused on the email. The screen's glow sharpens in the dim corner of my desk, painting my face in soft blue light. I feel a subtle tightening in my chest, a pressure that tells me this moment is heavier than any routine workday. I click to expand the message fully, and there it is, the evidence. Not implied, not subtle, not something I could ignore. Clear bias, unmistakable contempt, a dismissal of my competence threaded into every line. The subject line alone carries a sting, a presumption that I am less capable, less intelligent, less deserving of opportunity because of who I am. The timestamp shows it was sent late last night, after everyone had left. I feel a chill, not from the air conditioning, but from the clarity of what I see. Someone in power, entrusted to lead, reducing me to a stereotype, wrapped in polite corporate phrasing. My fingers hover over the keyboard, yet I do not react. My pulse rises quietly, steadily, echoing in my ears like a metronome of control. Every micro detail matters, the phrasing, the spacing, the slight undercurrent of mockery. It's calculated, precise, and I know, in this moment, that I cannot ignore it. I read the lines again, slowly, letting each one land with full weight. Her ideas are emotional, not data-driven. Perhaps she should stick to simpler tasks. We need someone who fits the role, not someone who stands out for the wrong reasons. The subtle contempt is dressed as corporate feedback, but I see the bias clearly. Each word reinforces what I've felt for months. The small dismissals, the side eyes, the undermining comments. They were not isolated incidents, they were a pattern, a narrative constructed to belittle and contain me. My hands rest lightly on the keyboard, almost reverent, a delicate pause before action. The office continues its muted hum, the printer whirring, the soft tap of keyboards, in distant laughter. But it is no longer part of my immediate world. The email has pulled me into a bubble, a quiet, private confrontation with reality. I allow myself a moment to breathe, to feel the weight of the injustice. And in that stillness, a plan begins to form. Not a reaction born of anger, but a measured, deliberate strategy. Timing, precision, truth. These are my tools. I zoom in on the details. Sender, recipients, CC lines. The email was intended to be private, unseen by anyone but me. Its secrecy is part of the insult, the assumption that I would not recognize the condescension, the prejudice, the blatant disregard for my professionalism. I feel a cold clarity. This is undeniable. This is not perception or imagination. This is documented bias, preserved in time and bytes, and it demands a response, not of anger, but of intelligence and justice. I glance at my reflection in the dark screen when I tilt my laptop slightly, eyes sharp, jaw set, hands resting lightly on the desk. The subtle power I carry is deliberate, quiet, unassuming to those who do not know how to read it. But in this moment, it is fully awake. I am aware of the pattern, the context, the strategy required. Every micro gesture, the slight adjustment of my chair, the slow inhale, the soft tap of my fingers anchors me. I am present. I am ready. I read the words one final time, committing them to memory. The timestamp, the phrasing, the implied hierarchy. I feel the sting, yes, but also a profound sense of clarity. This is the evidence that will shift the power dynamic, that will make the invisible visible. My mind moves forward, methodical. This will not be handled through confrontation or spectacle. It will be revealed with precision, in a moment where truth cannot be ignored. Every beat of my heart, every breath, aligns with that plan. The office light changes as morning shifts to late day, sunlight creeping through the blinds, casting linear shadows across the carpet. Dust motes float in the golden streaks, catching the light like sparks. I watch them, letting the visual rhythm mirror the mental one. Patience, observation, strategy. My eyes flick to colleagues moving around, unaware of the private storm unfolding in my inbox. They glance at their screens, sip their coffees, shuffle papers, but they cannot yet see the weight of what I hold. I imagine the forward, the moment in the all-hands meeting when the evidence will be undeniable. The email will speak louder than whispers, louder than microaggressions, louder than bias. The room will pause. Colleagues will shift, executives will look, the manager's composure will crack, and the truth will settle in the space. I smile subtly, almost imperceptibly, a quiet acknowledgement that justice is possible, that integrity can prevail, that careful patience carries power. And yet, I sit quietly, letting the hum of the office continue, letting my pulse slow just enough to maintain calm. I do not need to shout. I do not need to demand attention. I do not need to prove myself with spectacle. The evidence is undeniable. The timing will be perfect. And when the moment comes, the room will witness something far more powerful than anger or revenge. It will witness truth. I lean back slightly, fingertips brushing lightly over the desk, and exhale. The first crack of awareness is behind me, but the real shift is yet to come. This email, this proof of bias, will become more than a document. It will become the instrument through which I reclaim control, through which quiet power asserts itself. And in that assertion, I will remind everyone in the room, truth is not negotiable, integrity is not optional, and no one can diminish what is earned through competence, patience, and clarity. I close my eyes for a brief moment, a steady breath, a pause, and then I open them. Calm, composed, aware. The evidence is in my hands. And the next step, when the moment is right, will speak louder than any microaggression ever could. Fluorescent lights buzz faintly above, blending with the distant hum of printers and the rhythmic tap of keyboards. I lean back in my chair, letting my fingertips brush the smooth surface of the desk as I breathe slowly, feeling the weight of the email in my inbox. The message glows softly on the screen, each word sharp, deliberate, unmistakable. I close my eyes for a brief moment, centering myself. Quiet power is patience, and patience is my strategy. A colleague laughs in the distance, the sound hollow, almost detached, but I barely register it. My mind focuses inward, tracing the contours of what will happen tomorrow. The all-hands-meeting the perfect stage flows through my thoughts like a slow, deliberate rehearsal. I imagine the moment, the projector light illuminating the screen, the room filled with colleagues and executives, every gaze centered on the evidence. Timing, precision, and subtlety will speak louder than confrontation ever could. I reach for my coffee, the warmth grounding me, fingers curling lightly around the mug. My eyes trace the words of the email once more. The subject line, the timestamp, the subtle derision embedded in carefully chosen phrases. Every micro detail is a tool, a note in the silent symphony I am orchestrating. This is not revenge. It is strategy. Each movement, each breath, each small adjustment of my chair prepares me for the moment when the truth cannot be ignored. Sunlight slices through the blinds, casting linear shadows across the floor. Dust motes float lazily, catching the light, reminding me of the patience required in this process. I visualize the room tomorrow, the subtle exchange of glances, the quiet recognition in colleagues' eyes, the shift in the manager's posture as the email appears on the screen. Every detail matters: the angle of the screen, the timing of my forward, the rhythm of the room. I feel the anticipation like a low hum in my chest, steady and contained. I adjust my monitor slightly, fingertips hovering over the keyboard, mentally rehearsing each step. Micro gestures communicate control: the tilt of my chin, the alignment of my notebooks, the deliberate positioning of my hands. These small movements reinforce a calm authority that contrasts with the hidden storm of evidence I carry. My pulse rises quietly, deliberately, in tune with the strategy forming in my mind. Every action is intentional, every pause measured. I picture the aftermath, a room caught in collective pause, colleagues reading the email, executives registering the bias, the manager's composure quietly crumbling. Recognition will ripple subtly, imperceptibly at first, then unmistakably. Integrity, patience, and precision. The quiet execution of truth will command more respect than any outburst or spectacle ever could. I allow a small, imperceptible smile. The plan is in motion, the strategy clear. My eyes drift back to the glowing screen, memorizing each word of the email, noting every nuance, every slight insult, every implication. The pattern of bias, once hidden, now becomes my instrument. I close my eyes briefly, inhaling slowly, and exhale with deliberate calm. I am ready. Timing is everything. Patience is key. And the truth will speak when the moment is right, carrying the weight of months of observation, clarity, and quiet preparation. The office hums around me, the soft click of a keyboard, the distant murmur of conversation. but I am in my own rhythm, separate, poised. Each micro gesture, each deliberate breath, each slow shift of my chair is part of the rehearsal no one else is aware of. Tomorrow, the email will appear. Tomorrow, the room will pause, and I will remain calm, composed, a silent witness to justice unfolding with quiet, unstoppable precision. I rest my hands lightly on the desk, letting the tension ease just enough to remain composed. The glow of the laptop illuminates my face, highlighting the set of my jaw, the calm in my eyes, the readiness in my posture. Quiet power is patient. Strategy is deliberate. Timing is everything. And tomorrow, the evidence will speak. You won't believe what happens next. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. The conference room is quiet. The kind of silence that feels almost alive, waiting for something to break it. The lights above hum softly, reflecting off the polished table, while the projector casts a pale rectangle of light onto the screen at the front. Colleagues murmur low greetings, shuffling papers, adjusting chairs, a rhythm of anticipation I feel, but they do not yet perceive. My laptop rests before me, calm and unassuming, a small blue glow hinting at what is about to unfold. I inhale slowly, letting my fingers hover lightly over the trackpad. The moment has arrived. I click forward. A subtle ping resonates through the quiet room, almost too soft to notice, but it is enough. Heads lift. Eyes shift toward the screen. The subject line appears first. Bold, undeniable, immediately drawing attention. The timestamp follows, then the body of the email words crafted with prejudice, bias, condescension, now exposed to all. I feel a stillness settle over the room, thick and almost tactile, the kind that presses against the skin and holds the air. Eyes widen, breath catches. A chair creaks somewhere to my left, a sharp reminder that everyone is now fully present. I watch the manager seated at the front, their face paling almost imperceptibly, a twitch of the lips, a tightening of the jaw. Every micro gesture of fear, of surprise, of exposure, is a small story unfolding in real time. My pulse remains steady, calm, deliberate. The evidence speaks louder than any argument or confrontation ever could. Whispers start, low at first, hesitant. As colleagues process the words on the screen, a subtle ripple of understanding spreads through the room. Those who had sensed the bias before exchange glances, almost imperceptibly. A silent recognition that what was once unseen is now undeniable. The manager shifts uncomfortably, hands fidgeting lightly, shoulders tensing. Every instinct to regain control, to deflect, to mask, falters in the face of clarity. I lean back slightly in my chair, observing without a word. My micro-gestures are deliberate, fingers resting lightly on the desk, a subtle tilt of my chin, eyes steady, unwavering. The room is a living canvas of human reactions. Shock, guilt, disbelief, realization. The hum of the projector fills the quiet pauses, punctuating the tension. No one speaks. No one interrupts. The email is the only voice needed. Sunlight shifts through the blinds, cutting across the conference table in sharp lines. Dust motes drift lazily in the beams, catching the light, as if marking the passage of this pivotal moment. I notice every detail. The small tremor in a hand, the shallow intake of breath, the subtle lean forward in curiosity, the slight recoil in discomfort. The room is suspended in collective attention, all focus drawn to the evidence, undeniable, irrefutable. I imagine the ripple beyond this room, whispers in hallways, discussions at desks, the shift in perception. But here, now, the power dynamic has quietly, irrevocably changed. The manager's composure is a fragile mask cracking under scrutiny. Eyes that once assessed me with condescension now widen with awareness. Integrity has spoken. Bias has been exposed. The quiet reversal is complete. My colleagues' faces reflect a subtle mix of validation and cautious solidarity. Small nods, slight shifts in posture, micro gestures of acknowledgement. They have witnessed what cannot be ignored. The tension is heavy but transformed. The room no longer a space of subtle undermining, but of undeniable clarity. My calm remains intact, deliberate, unshakable. Quiet power has executed itself flawlessly. I exhale softly, a slow release, letting the stillness settle. The manager is frozen, the truth revealed without spectacle, without confrontation, only the elegance of strategy, timing, and undeniable evidence. I close my laptop slowly, the glow fading, leaving only the natural light slicing through the blinds. The room begins to breathe again. Conversations resuming, but the shift is permanent. Everything has changed. The reversal is complete. And in that silence, in that still moment before the hum of normalcy returns, I recognize it. Integrity, patience, and clarity carry more force than any anger. Quiet power, exercised with precision, has reclaimed the room. Bias has been exposed. Justice has begun. The room remains suspended in quiet tension, even after the last word of the email lingers on the screen. The glow of the projector fades slowly, leaving only the soft ambient light from the overhead panels. Colleagues are still seated, eyes wide, shoulders stiff, processing what they've just witnessed. A faint hum of the air conditioning is the only sound, but in my chest, my heartbeat thunders, quietly steady, deliberate, measured. The reversal has happened, but the real moment is now. Justice, not just awareness. I watch the manager, frozen mid-breath, hands gripping the edge of the table. Their composure, once polished and practiced, has dissolved into a subtle tremor that spreads from their shoulders to their jawline. Every micro-gesture tightened lips, darting eyes. The involuntary swallow is a testament to the undeniable weight of truth. They had assumed invisibility, assumed that bias could remain unchallenged, unexposed. That assumption has shattered quietly, completely. HR enters, a neutral presence at first glance, but their eyes flick toward me with understanding, almost a silent acknowledgement of the preparation that brought us to this point. Legal follows, careful, methodical, reviewing the email on a tablet, nodding subtly. Their validation is not performative. It is institutional confirmation that the bias is irrefutable, documented, and actionable. I remain seated, calm, letting the quiet authority of truth carry the moment. A colleague exhales softly, almost imperceptibly, as the realization sinks in. What was hidden is now public. Micro gestures of solidarity ripple subtly across the room. A nod, a tilt of the head, a lean slightly forward, an eyes-only glance of recognition. These small movements create a network of silent support that the manager cannot see but cannot ignore. They are alone in the weight of exposure. The manager finally speaks, voice tight, strained, a careful attempt to regain control. But the words falter, caught between denial and realization. HR responds gently but firmly, stating the outcome: immediate suspension pending investigation, with full accountability for the documented bias. The room holds its breath. Even in quiet professionalism, the shift is seismic. Every colleague present feels the tension, the gravity of what justice looks like when executed with strategy, precision, and undeniable evidence. I feel a wave of relief and validation, subtle yet profound, flowing through me. Not triumph in malice, but triumph in integrity. Quiet power has carried the day. The office, often a place of subtle underestimation, now acknowledges that competence, preparation, and patience have a force greater than prejudice. Every breath, every heartbeat, every micro-gesture I exhibited in preparation for this moment has culminated in undeniable recognition. The manager rises slowly, shoulders slumped, an aura of defeated authority clinging faintly but unmistakably. Their silence is heavier than any argument. HR leads them out, methodical, neutral, leaving behind only the residual tension and the weight of truth now firmly established. Colleagues exhale, murmuring softly to each other, some with quiet smiles of approval, some simply absorbing the reality of what they have witnessed. The room shifts imperceptibly, yet irrevocably. I close my laptop, letting the glow fade entirely, and rest my hands lightly on the desk. The projector clicks off, leaving the room illuminated only by natural light filtering through the blinds. Sunlight streaks across polished wood and carpet, dust motes drifting lazily in golden lines. I take a slow breath, letting the gravity of justice settle quietly in my chest. My colleagues glance at me, subtle nods, almost imperceptible acknowledgments of respect and recognition. The room has seen integrity executed flawlessly. I rise slowly, feeling the warmth of quiet validation in my chest. Every micro-gesture of composure, the steady hands, the calm posture, the deliberate eye contact has been noticed, even if silently. In this stillness, I understand that what we carry internally, our preparation, our integrity, our clarity, can change the dynamics around us more than confrontation ever could. Quiet power has reclaimed space. Truth has spoken. Bias has been confronted with evidence, timing, and patience. Later, as colleagues filter out, murmuring and reflecting, I remain for a moment, tracing the contours of the now empty conference table with my eyes. The weight of months of subtle dismissals, microaggressions, and underestimated efforts has shifted irrevocably. What once felt like invisible burdens have been transformed into a visible affirmation. My presence, my integrity, and my diligence cannot be erased or minimized. I feel a small, deliberate smile, not of triumph over another, but of recognition of what patience, strategy, and truth can achieve. I exhale, letting the calm settle fully into my body. HR closes the door behind the manager, signaling the completion of the first act of justice. Colleagues pause outside, some nodding subtly, some stopping briefly to offer quiet words of recognition. Integrity has not just been asserted, it has been witnessed, confirmed, and quietly celebrated. In that moment, I realized the lesson crystallized. Patience, preparation, and truth-telling are more powerful than anger or retaliation. Bias may exist, but strategy, integrity, and calm observation are tools of undeniable force. The office, for all its subtle underestimations, has now acknowledged that competence and quiet power cannot be ignored. I take one last slow breath, letting it anchor me, and speak softly to myself, almost inaudibly. Justice is not spectacle. It is patience, precision, and truth, executed quietly, yet undeniably. And with that, I rise, stepping out of the room, leaving behind not just an empty conference room, but a shift in culture, a moment of undeniable empowerment, and a testament to the quiet, strategic force of integrity realized. If you've ever been overlooked or underpaid, this part's for you. And if you feel that, hit that. The conference room hums softly, but the energy has shifted. Colleagues lean forward, whispering quietly, eyes flicking between me and the empty space where the manager had sat. The email's words hang in the air, bias exposed, truth undeniable. Every small movement, the nod of a colleague, the tilt of a head, The exhale of relief feels like affirmation, quiet solidarity forming without a single word. Sunlight slices through the blinds, dust motes, drifting lazily in golden beams. I watch them briefly, grounding myself as the room absorbs the weight of what is unfolded. HR steps forward, calm yet firm, confirming the suspension and accountability. Legal nods in agreement. The manager shifts uneasily, hands tightening, shoulders slumping, every micro-gesture of defeat visible. I remain composed, hands resting lightly on the desk, posture poised. Colleagues glance at me, subtle nods acknowledging not just the evidence, but the patience and strategy behind its revelation. A junior colleague whispers a quiet thank you, and I offer a subtle nod, letting the moment speak. The office breathes differently now. Lighter yet aware, integrity and courage have reshaped the space. As the manager is escorted out, the room collectively adjusts, soft exhalations, subtle glances, small movements of acknowledgement. The tension dissolves, replaced by quiet validation. Integrity, patience, and strategy have aligned, exposing bias and restoring respect. I rise slowly, letting the late afternoon sunlight fall across the table. The email, now a symbol of truth, perseverance, and quiet power, fully realized. The office feels transformed, subtle yet permanent. Micro-gestures, careful observation, and deliberate action have shifted perception. Justice has arrived not in spectacle, but in precise, undeniable clarity. Bias confronted, respect restored, and colleagues silently recognize the quiet authority of truth executed flawlessly. The room is ready for reflection, the lesson now waiting to be drawn from what has been endured and achieved. The conference room is quiet now, yet its atmosphere is dense with the echoes of what has transpired. The hum of the air conditioning feels almost reverent, a subtle backdrop to the weight of justice quietly executed. I sit back in my chair, feeling the warmth of the afternoon sunlight spill across the desk, touching the edges of papers, highlighting the subtle textures of polished wood. Dust motes float lazily in the golden beams, each one catching the light, tiny witnesses to the shift that has occurred. The tension that once gripped the room has transformed into something else entirely. A steady, resonant awareness that integrity and truth have claimed their place. Every micro-gesture of the colleagues around me speaks volumes. The slight tilt of a head, a slow exhale, fingers brushing over notebooks in subtle acknowledgement. Some lean forward, curious, absorbing the moment without words. A junior colleague hesitates, then offers a quiet, heartfelt smile, recognition of courage, patience, and leadership quietly observed. Every glance, every posture, every subtle movement becomes part of the story now. The energy in the room has shifted, irrevocably and silently. Bias has been confronted, respect restored, and truth has spoken without spectacle. I rise slowly, feeling the deliberate weight of every motion. Each step I take echoes the months of preparation, observation, and subtle fortitude that led to this moment. The email, once a hidden instrument of harm, has become a symbol of strategy, clarity, and the unstoppable force of truth executed with precision. I notice how the afternoon light plays across the room, the shadows stretching, softening, revealing the contours of every surface. Micro-gestures that once signified doubt, dismissal, or quiet undermining are replaced by acknowledgement, awareness, and subtle respect. Colleagues exchange small, unspoken signals of solidarity. A nod, a barely perceptible smile, a shift in posture that reflects newfound awareness. I feel their acknowledgement ripple through the space, a quiet affirmation of patience, strategic thinking, and courage. Every subtle movement reinforces the lesson. Integrity, executed thoughtfully, cannot be denied. The manager's absence is a quiet punctuation. The gap left behind a testament to accountability and consequence. I step closer to the window, letting the sunlight warm my face. The warmth is grounding, anchoring me in the moment as I reflect on the journey. Every slight hesitation, every whispered dismissal I've endured, every subtle undermining has culminated here not in spectacle, but in deliberate, undeniable clarity. Courage is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet, methodical, and intentional. Sometimes it is the unshakable presence of someone who observes, prepares, and acts with integrity. I turn to face the room again, noticing colleagues subtly straightening their posture, adjusting their positions in response to the newly calibrated dynamics. The office itself feels transformed not by shouting, not by drama, but by strategy, patience, and truth. Small acknowledgments pass silently. An exhale of relief, the tilt of a head, fingers lightly tapping a notebook in recognition. These moments are the quiet celebrations of integrity realized. I pause, taking a slow, deliberate breath. The lesson is more than personal. It is universal. Truth has its moment. Courage can manifest subtly, yet leave a permanent imprint. The patience to observe, the strategy to act deliberately, and the integrity to remain unwavering create a force no bias can withstand. My gaze lingers on the empty chair where the manager had sat, a reminder that consequences follow those who underestimate quiet power. Sunlight softens as the afternoon wanes, casting long, golden lines across the floor. I feel a quiet smile forming, barely perceptible, but profound. The office hums gently, printers whirring, keyboards clicking, conversations resuming, but the energy is altered permanently, subtly, undeniably. Every colleague present has been touched, whether through observation, acknowledgement, or reflection. The lesson extends beyond me, beyond the email, beyond the room itself. Integrity, strategy, and courage resonate outward, rippling through the culture of the workplace. I take a slow walk through the space, each step deliberate. Every micro gesture, from a gentle exhale to a subtle lift of the chin, reflects the internal strength cultivated over months. The quiet victories, the careful observation, the deliberate patience, all converge into this moment of unassailable authority. I recognize the power of subtlety. The truth, once unveiled thoughtfully, carries force beyond what is immediately visible. Later, as I exit the conference room, the warmth of the sun on my shoulders mirrors the quiet satisfaction within. The office feels alive but transformed, each colleague carrying the awareness forward in ways both small and profound. Conversations resume, but beneath them lies a subtle undercurrent: recognition, reflection, and respect. Bias may still exist elsewhere, in other spaces, but in this room, truth has won, integrity has prevailed, and quiet power has been affirmed. I pause outside, inhaling deeply, letting the air fill my lungs with a sense of resolution. To my community, to Black American professionals navigating spaces of subtle and overt bias, the message is clear. Your voice matters, your presence matters, and your truth is powerful. Preparation, integrity, and patience are your instruments of influence. I walk forward, deliberate, steady, feeling the full weight of empowerment, understanding that every micro gesture, every choice, every calculated act of patience has contributed to this moment. Courage is not always loud. It can be subtle, measured, strategic, and still unstoppable. Integrity endures, truth persists, and the quiet power of one woman standing firm can ripple outward, touching the lives of many. I close my eyes briefly, grounding myself in the moment, and whisper a mantra that will guide me and anyone witnessing this story. Truth, patience, and integrity are unstoppable. Courage, even when quiet, resonates beyond the room, beyond the moment, beyond fear. Stand firm. Speak when necessary. Let your presence, preparation, and perseverance carry the weight of change. The sunlight warms my face as I step into the hallway, leaving the office transformed not through drama, but through strategy, clarity, and quiet courage. The story of this day will echo, not in noise, but in the undeniable force of integrity realized. Every gaze, every micro gesture, every subtle nod has been a testament. Quiet power, patience, and truth prevail. Always. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this story. If it spoke to you, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more stories that heal, inspire, and remind us who we are. For every Black woman told to stay quiet, speak anyway.